Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota podcast. My name is Mpho and I'm joined by Tim Dale Lace. Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. Yeah, all good. All good, man. All good.
Yes, well, this is your number one South African cricket podcast. My name is Mpho and I've introduced Tim as well. Remember, you can follow us on One World Sports Radio. You can subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at One World SR, as well as on Instagram at One World Sports Radio, and as well as Facebook at One World Sports Radio, where the show will be live. And on top of that, we've got Spotify. And also we're live on Apple Podcasts, our audio version. So if you want to catch that, remember we're talking South African domestic series, and we're going to talk 4-day series, probably in a different episode. Tim, just the results of the weekend. Simon Harmer just ripped through my beloved Lions, and Tony DeZorzi just had a field day at Newlands, and you were there. I was at the Wanderers crying my eyes out. But today we've got a little bit of a twist. It is Monday. It's Results Monday. We're going to make results Monday into Results Tuesday because we have a conversation. We always have our interviews with different people in and around cricket in South Africa. And today, Tim, you get to introduce our guest.
Yeah, look, we've had some really good guests lately. But one thing we've been missing, somebody from the Division 2. We've been wanting to give the second division a little bit of flavour. Someone who has worked with a lot of guys in the Division 1 before he went over to the Northern Cape. So he's worked with AB de Villiers and the top of the world, but he's now working in Division 2 with the Northern Cape Heat. Probable promotion favourites for the end of the season for next year. So it's Mark Charlton. Can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. We've got Mark Charlton on the line. I do apologize. Bit of the gremlins peeking in. Hi, Mark. How are you doing?
Paul, I'm good, and you?
Good. So Mark Charlton is the head coach of the Northern Cape Heat. Remember that Northern Cape Heat that gave us a very interesting CSA T20 last year. They managed to make their way through into the second round, or do they call it the second round, or the knockout stages of the CSA T20? And that's where we got to see this team that plays some incredible cricket. They've now gone through their first season in the franchise cricket. Now they're coming into that second season with promotion and relegation towards the back end of it. They're currently top of the log in Division 2, but we don't want to touch the money here. But I want to tell Mark that everybody who's come on the show, their dreams have seemingly been fulfilled. We had Sadal Advia, he became a Protea. We've had Grant Rulofsson, he's now in SA20, and he's having a really great season so far. So long may it continue. And obviously Neil Brunt. We had Neil Brunt here when the middle of the season happened. It was around about this time last year. And the Titans weren't looking at that 4-day series championship, and somehow they won. So, Mark, some good omens from this podcast, and to anybody who wants to come and join and get good omens, by all means. But otherwise, the season started. How's it going? How's the team doing? And yeah, a little bit of the aspirations that you're looking for coming to the end of the season.
Well, firstly, thank you very much for having me on. Specifically, seeing you guys are the dream makers, so that's fantastic. Good to hear. Yeah, so it's going well so far. Yeah, we made the finals of the T20. Unfortunately, lost out there. In the 4-day comp, top of the log at the moment. We have played one extra game though, so that obviously helps. But yeah, so far so good. We're about to start our 50 over competition now. We play the Inyati in East London on Saturday. So yeah, really looking forward to getting that underway and hopefully carry on pushing for promotion to Division 1.
Yes, that's really, really, really good. I'm just going to start it off, Mark. Obviously, we always ask our guests about their journey in cricket. Where did it all start for you?
I come from a very small little town. You probably wouldn't, or you might have heard of it. Grahamstown. So the home of Rhodes University and a lot of good schools. So I started playing cricket. It's a big cricket area. Cricket is massive in the Eastern Cape. It's in the blood down there. So I started playing when I was young. Strange enough, my dad never played cricket. He was a swimmer, and I'm a horrendous swimmer, so I'm more of a drowner than a swimmer. But he was a swimmer, and I took up cricket. He never played cricket, which is strange. But I felt like I was good at it from an early age. Really, I think the game and its sort of mental side and mental battle sort of resonated with me from a young age, and really fell in love with the game. Played all sports, but cricket was always the one that I was best at. And carried on playing all the way through, and obviously took up coaching a little bit later when my career was coming to a back end.
Yes, I had to, in research for this interview, I had to look back at your career. You played alongside a lot of the stalwarts, shall we say, of Titans cricket. Do you think playing the game has given you maybe a slight edge in terms of your coaching? It's given you a slight edge in how to deal with players in different situations?
Yeah, I think so. I played a lot of cricket. I wasn't a superstar by any means. But I think that what actually helped me is a bit of a journeyman as a player. Spent a lot of time at various levels in terms of the amateur game. Played a little bit of professional cricket, but not a massive amount. But I think that sort of actually struggle has been something that has given me the edge in terms of my coaching. Like I always found that things were tough for me. I had to work really hard at my game to sort of get to the next level and to be successful. So I think that working a lot of stuff out for myself in terms of my head, in terms of my mental game, in terms from a technical point of view, really helped me in terms of my coaching, because I think I can sort of identify when a player has got an issue or a problem. And I can actually go down to my own memory bank. If there was a problem, I probably had it as a player. So, I can help players go through that. And my father always said that, sometimes the best teachers are the ones that struggled at school, which is strange. But so I would say that that's probably me. And I think it's definitely given me an edge in terms of my coaching. And I don't think that I could have ever sort of rested on my laurels in terms of I was a international cricketer or a very famous person. So I wasn't. So I've had to really, really work at getting to the next level, sort of claw my way forward in terms of my coaching, and and really carry on getting results. So I think there's a lot of good things came out of that struggle that I had as a player. And I think it really made me what I am today as a coach.
That's really good. So how did you ultimately end up? Obviously, you've gone through your playing career. What was the decision at that point where you like seeing the end of your career? Was coaching something that was easy for you to fall into, or was there other options along the way that you thought you could do?
Well, I coached all the way through when I was playing. So I started off coaching when I left school, when I was in the academy in PE. Just helping out with a couple of little academies, etc. in the area. So it was always something I was interested in. I then helped out with one or two of the age group teams for Eastern Province, and then obviously moved up to Pretoria, and I started coaching at a club called Pretoria High School Old Boys. And I started coaching the thirds and fourths while I was still playing, and then obviously when I stopped, I took over the club. So it was definitely something that I always was interested in. However, I did do a degree at NMMU or UPE when I was there. That's how old I am. So I actually did a degree in media communications, strangely enough, and now you guys are interviewing me. So yeah, it could have been the other way around. So that was my degree. So that's what I thought. I thought I was going to go into sports journalism because I enjoyed that side of the game and writing into the game. But obviously the coaching took over and I did okay. So I carried on doing it because I really enjoy it.
So it's really good to know. Look, you've got a voice for this thing, so it could have worked out.
Thank you.
As we said offline, so I said offline to you, we've interviewed Van Berg and others who have, if not started their career, had a large chunk of their career at the Titans. They talked about it. They talked about the setup there. They talked about how professional it is from a player's point of view. But they also talked about how there came a time in their careers where they actually had to move. If they really wanted to flourish in their careers, they actually had to go elsewhere. Just talk to us about the Titans setup from a coaching point of view and whether the same thing happened to you when you were there with the Northerns, you were there under Mark Boucher's high performance, whether the same feeling with you happened, whether you felt that you had to move to grow, so to speak, as a coach.
Yeah, I had a really good 8 years at the Titans. I have to credit the Titans for teaching me so much. Like I learned from so many people there. It is a great setup. Got fantastic university, got really, really good clubs. The schools are strong. All the age group teams are strong. It's a serious machine that runs there, and it's continued to run to today. And I'd also like to credit the Titans with raising my expectations. And I think that's a big thing. Coming from the Eastern Cape, and from a more of a coastal area, people are a little bit more laid back, a little bit more chilled, and second or third place is okay. At the Titans, only number one counts, and that's it. Like if you don't win, then you fail. Doesn't matter if you come second in a comp. Like you'll go to them, so you came second. I'll be like, well, you lost, unfortunately. So I have to credit that system in terms of not just raising expectations in terms of what is good enough and what's not good enough. So it is really good. Unfortunately, my time did come to an end at the Titans. I really enjoyed my time there. I first worked under Rob Walter, who is definitely a serious mentor of mine. I really credit him with turning the Titans around in a sort of tough period. Then obviously under Mark Boucher, and then at the back end under Mandla. So I was always there when I was at the Titans. I was always the bridesmaid, not the bride. In terms of, even though I think my record was really good in terms of wins and losses and competitions won, etc., etc. But I just, for some reason or other, and it's never got the top job or moved into the actual Titan space. Obviously worked a bit in the pipeline as being high performance manager, which I really enjoyed, which was a different aspect. I think it was really nice to have that, because moving forward, you never know. Like I feel that I can work in the management sort of side or the coaching. So it was quite a nice experience that. But unfortunately, I just felt that my time at the Titans had come to an end, and I needed something new. I needed something different. I needed to challenge myself, and I needed to run my own ship. And that's why I obviously moved to the Northern Cape. When the new structure came up with the extra professional teams, I think it was a massive opportunity for so many coaches and so many players. And I took it with both hands. And obviously I haven't looked back yet.
Yeah, no, and I think you mentioned something there that was quite important, is that there's not many opportunities for coaches. It's only a few seats, and in the franchise system, there's only 6 seats. And then obviously you had the semi-pros with all the different provincial setups as well. And those seats are also not that many, So it is a tough environment to be in, and you have to be, you have to be pushing. And sometimes you might not get jobs just because you don't have, you just, it's just not the not the right time, or it's just it felt like a wrong turn somewhere, and you just ask yourself like what's going on. And I think coaching in South Africa maybe has become like that. But from a question of this, obviously this movement from franchise to provincial, we ask all our guests this question who are involved in the setup. What have you made of it? Initially, what you thought of it when it happened, and what do you make of it now? Is it starting to achieve some of the things that CSA wanted to achieve? And from a coach perspective, what were the things that you were worried about at the time when you were moving through?
Sorry, you were just breaking up a little bit there, but I think I got the gist of your question regarding the new structure in Northern Cape cricket. Is that the question?
Yes. So your thoughts
Okay,
on the new
brilliant.
structure when it happened and now?
Yes. Yeah. No, it's been absolutely brilliant. It's given a new lease of life to so many cricketers and so many coaches. Like, you can feel the energy. The energy is palpable, really. There's so many opportunities where a lot of guys were stuck sort of window for people to sort of get into their franchise teams. Not a lot of people were breaking through. There was a serious bottleneck. Now you've got an opportunity in a fully professional team to stake a claim. And if you can't, you've got an opportunity for your team. If you play well and you put things right on the field, you've got an opportunity to get in first division with the team. So the opportunity is there, and I think that's all that cricketers and coaches and people in cricket overall ever wanted, was just that opportunity to stake the claim. So the energy is definitely there. I also think that just in terms of what it's done for South African cricket structures is in first division, because you're a franchise and you're going to get a team next year. It doesn't matter if you come last or second last. You can't just sit anymore. You can actually literally see the urgency. Like when the Knights play the Dragons, you can literally see the urgency and the panic on the players. Get better. That's where players get tested in terms of being under pressure and seeing if they can perform under that sort of microscope. When CEOs are putting pressure, boards putting pressure, coaches putting pressure, and that's when you separate the men from the boys. So, and also the best. Sorry, you're just breaking up there again. But anyway, so the cream will rise to the top in the end. So I don't know if we'll be the cream or not. We might be. It might be the Tuskers. It might be SWD. It might be Inyati. Like whoever it might be, the cream will rise to the top in the end. And just in terms of the second division guys, have now got a goal. Like before, you were stuck in semi-pro cricket. You're going to try and win a comp. You try and get your first class average up as a player or whatever it might be. But what real opportunities were there other than obviously moving into your franchise team? But there were probably 6 or 8 or 10 players ahead of you that were contracted in as a batter or as a bowler. So you had very, very small opportunities. Now the opportunities are so much more, and it's been so good to see, and I think that the level of cricket has definitely risen from semi-pro cricket. Watching some semi-pro cricket, there were soft moments. Let's be honest. Obviously, always your bigger teams always had a really good second team, because in my team I might have had 3 or 4 franchise players in every single game. So there was some good cricket played. But now there are 11 contracted players, and every single guy is fully with the team and focused on that team. You're not looking up to go to franchise cricket. You really are focusing on getting that team to first division. So there's been some really good, tough cricket. It's definitely a level up from semi-pro cricket and where that was. Because, I worked extensively at that level.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. If you just look back at the Northwest game against the Lions, the Northwest were 8 overs from a draw against Sapoto, Magala, Sapabla, Fortuyn, and they very nearly got a draw, which would have been huge for them. But you could tell that intensity was there. I couldn't agree more. Also, as you said, there's a lot to play for now, and in terms of where they can go. You look at Evan Jones, who you had last season.
Yeah.
Evan Jones is playing Division 1 because he was able to flourish with you guys. That's that gave him the platform, and he's flourishing. It's awesome. Talk to us about this initiative that Northern Cape have done recently, where you are trying to widen your pool. I think it was aimed at 15 to 24-year-olds. Just give us an idea of what that was and why it was implemented. I think it's a great thing, but just give us a bit more detail about it.
Yeah, I was actually, I don't know if you know Grant Morgan at all. I was actually chatting to him the other day. He's the coach of the Tuskers now. So obviously, he's a great cricket man in our system. And he said that a lot of the systems around the country are very much coach-based. So the head coach takes the lead, and he sort of brings in a couple of guys, and he works with a couple of the local guys, and you create this small bit of success, and then the coach leaves, and then you're down at square one. So my thoughts were that what we need to try and do is we need to try and create something that outlives the coach, and that's a little bit more sustainable. So we looked at the Young Heat program. I've had a lot of support from my CEO and my board regarding this. To look at young players in the Northern Cape who we feel have got some special talents, and we're only looking at a very small amount of players. We're looking at between 6 and 8 players, not spreading the wealth through 20 or 30, but rather focus on 6 or 8 who we feel have got some special skills. So it's either you bowl, you can turn the ball, or you can bowl fast, or you're a really, really good player, batter wise, and then throw lots of resources at those young players, give them opportunities with the Heat squad, and try and upskill them as much as possible, so that when I finally leave the Northern Cape at whatever stage that might be, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it might be, like we've got a structure already where our players are upskilled. So it won't be a situation where we go up and then suddenly we just drop. Like we have a sustainable structure in the pipeline to actually keep that sort of success going. I want to take away that the sort of the up and down nature of a lot of provinces. Like basically what the Titans do. They've got such a good feeder system that they're never really down for long. They had maybe a year or 2 here, a year or 2 there, but to be honest, they're never really down because their feeder structure is so good. So that's what I wanted to try and create at the Northern Cape, and obviously I had a lot of support from it. So we're going to be up and running with that program mid-January. We're going to do a little bit of a launch there, and then those players are going to train with the team in January, and then obviously hopefully try and push for a spot in the team this year, maybe later next year, and for the younger ones in 3 or 4 years' time.
Okay, that's a really lovely initiative, Mark. It leads to one of the questions I've wanted to just find out a little bit more about. They've obviously, between the seasons, there have been changes and movements and everything else. How much of a hand do you have in necessarily selecting the squad? And essentially, how does it necessarily happen? Obviously, you lost Evan Roos. How do you and Aubrey Swanepoel last year? How do you kind of rejig the team and all of that? If you can take us into a little bit, you don't have to tell us the decision. Like you didn't like him.
No, I don't mind. I don't mind at all. Like if I'm giving somebody something, I'll probably thought of something else already. No, I'm joking. I actually stole that from Jake White. To Jake White. So he doesn't mind. I'll tell you all my secrets because I've got another 10 already. So already 10 that I'm really working on. I'm joking there, but yeah. So So it was quite interesting how I put my team together at the beginning. So I thought, listen, it is a different structure. It is Division 2 cricket. It's guys who've been in semi-pro cricket a long time, and a lot of provinces suffered from that same sort of stamping of your structure, like it was tough over a long period for a place like Northern Cape. So basically what I thought was let's do something a little bit different. Let's rather look at, instead of going safe, let's take a couple of big chances. And I looked to actually pick my squad on the Moneyball principles. So I don't know if you've watched Moneyball, the movie.
Yes.
So my thing was from the beginning was, can they get on base? In other words, who's got the best records. So, like people are like, oh, geez, why are you contracting that guy? Geez, he's hard work. And I'm like, because he averages 40, that's why I'm contracting. I don't care how much hard work he is. He's going to get me hundreds. So I'm like, I really don't care. I just want to contract the best players that are available, So I worked on that sort of Moneyball principle. I worked on a system where I felt that good players could flourish. I think one of my strengths is working with people, and to make sure that we can get all those, because my team has got, if the Heat's around, you'll probably know, because we're the loudest team, and possibly a little bit crazy. Like my squad is a little bit crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you. So we, to keep those massive personalities and everybody in line is obviously my role as a coach. But that's how I'd like to try and put my team together. And I also like experienced players. I like guys who've done it before and have been there before, and I know that I can get performance out of them. And then obviously try and get, and I think the actual sort of glue that binds them together is personal relationships, treating people for people, understanding that people do make mistakes, they're not robots, giving them the freedom to be themselves, to go out and express themselves, you think about it, would you be able to do your show if there was somebody breathing down your neck the whole time telling you what to do? Like, that's not what I do. Hey? That's
Tim. That's Tim. He tells me we've got Mark in an hour. Okay, I'm on.
Anyway, so that's, like, I don't try and tell players what to do. Like there's a lot of focusing that goes on behind the scenes in terms of getting the right people doing the right thing at the right time. But those guys, when they're on the field, when they are even socially around the team, they can 100% be themselves, and that's what I want. We've never, and it's like we've almost created this sort of structure where we're not scared of problems. Like, we know we've got problems. We people, everybody's got a problem. We've got faults. People make mistakes. We don't run away from that. We're not a situation. If we got a problem, like this morning, we sat down. We're like, okay, guys, we're obviously doing well in the 4-day, but there are problems. What are they? Let's not run away from them. Let's embrace our problems. Let's find out how we can be better with those problems and completely face them down, not being that old South African thing, I'm hard, I don't have any problems, I'm the guy, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that sort of way of thinking. I'm like, listen, let's embrace it. Let's embrace our craziness. Let's embrace our massive personalities. And, when you go on the field, let's just be free and let's play cricket, and that's what we've tried to do with these massive personalities, possible, borderline crazy people, but in the end, there's a really good mix of professionals there, and massive personalities, which at the moment seems to work. So that's how I've sort of put it together. And again, it's like it's almost like been a mix that it's not something that I always. Obviously, I came up with the principle, but it wasn't that something that I thought that it would go that way. It sort of just found its own way, and I sort of just rode with it. And then maybe I always say to the guys, like, literally, we're on this like crazy river rapids, and all I need to do every now and again is just knock the boat back onto the river, and just keep it going in that direction. And that's sort of what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah, look, I think for me, looking at your squad from last season to this season, I do get the Brandon Bean, the Billy Bean principles that are coming through in Moneyball, because I think a lot of the guys either have had some franchise cricket careers, some guys may have fallen off, but they're really good at that semi-pro level and add value. Then you had a sprinkling of the X Factor players, which is something that can, even like when you were playing the Division 1 sides last season, were the ones who actually ensure that you got out over the line on top of them. So We all remember that game against the Lions. That was just unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's a testament to those principles.
Last one from me, Mark, before I let you go to get on with the training. If there was one thing that could be done to give more sort of voice to the Division 2 structure, what would it be? Something that isn't happening at the moment that could happen to give it a bit more exposure to the fans, shall we say?
Yeah, just obviously we lost out on TV time this year with our T20 comp. So that was disappointing for the guys. They felt finally like we had an opportunity to play on TV and to show people what we've got, which that got taken away, unfortunately. So I think that is a big thing to be able to get that back on TV, specifically if it's just T20. I think that the Division 2 teams, and I think they showed it last year, and I think we showed it in a lot of games that we played against Division 1 teams, can definitely compete, specifically in T20. So that's that TV time is important for the guys, and then I think one or two guys possibly getting picked for an SIA squad. I think that would be something that would be massive for guys, because then they feel that they've got a chance from Division 2, like in England. And I think that what we try to do was we try to recreate what England was doing with their Division 1 and Division 2. Guys get picked from Division 2 for England. But we had nobody from Division 2 getting picked for the SIA squad. Which I think we missed the trick there, to be honest. Even if it was just somebody, even if they didn't play, even if they just went with to make up the numbers or whatever, and then possibly maybe got a game or whatever. Like I think that would have been big. Like Evan Jones, like that sort of guy, because of his wonderful form last year for us with the bat and the ball, and his match winning ability. That possibly would have been something that would have given those players a lot of hope, and created those opportunities. So I think that's possibly two things that unfortunately haven't happened. But and I think playing more against the Division 1 teams, I still think that the Division 1 teams think that we're rubbish, which is fine. But the thing is that I would like to refute that on the field rather than hearsay, which is important. And I think that's all that a cricketer can ask for is an opportunity to put their skills on the field. And then maybe we are rubbish, I don't know. So maybe we'll win, maybe we'll lose, I don't know. But I think that the important thing is to give a guy an opportunity, specifically, give somebody a chance, specifically, as you said before, like we've, the Northern Cape team comes from all over South Africa, sprinkling of players from that have played First Division cricket, etc. Some guys that fell off the bus for all different reasons, but some really good cricketers there, and I think there's some really good cricketers through the whole second division, and I think on any given day, given the Division 2 teams can put any team under pressure, So I think we'd have an opportunity to do that, and it would be great to have an opportunity to do that, even if it's just in T20.
Yeah, look, I agree with you completely. Well, I think with everything you've said, it's really important that you give them the exposure and even have the games. And I didn't understand why the T20 was split, because I loved the format last year. It really worked. Because
I think it was more a thing that they needed for the points to get to Division 1, to stay in Division 1, and I think that was the reason, because we obviously got now the SA20. That sort of fell in that other window. So I think there were a lot of reasons regarding that. But I still feel that possibly going forward, maybe your T20 wouldn't be your criteria for going forward. Maybe your maybe just your 50 and 4 day, and everybody plays in one T20 comp. That might help, because possibly over a longer, over a 4-day season, the First Division teams are there because they're there, they're good players, and there's a lot of good cricketers there. They'd probably dominate the Division 2 teams over a 4-day game. But over a T20, where you've got some match winners, anything can happen. So, that's what I would do, sort of keep Division 1 and 2 separate in terms of 50 and 4-day, and put everybody into a T20 comp.
Yes, Mark.
Yeah,
Obviously, you also will be the batting consultant for the Pal Royals at the SA20 later. Okay, I don't want to say later this year, but in like a short period
Yeah,
of
early
time.
next year. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I want to wish you all the best for that. The team that won the last MSL came out of Pal, so there's a lot of there's a lot of pride that team has to kind of live up to and everything else. But I wanted to say thank you very much for joining us. And thank you very much for telling us your story. Really enjoyed this interview. And I wish you all the best and your team all the best as they surge up for promotion. Tim, do you have any final words?
no, you've said it all. Thanks, Mark. Thanks. I really appreciate giving us a flavour of Division 2 cricket. We've been wanting to have this interview for a while, so thanks for coming on.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed it. Have a good one.
You too, Mark. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Yes, Tim, that was Mark Charlton. Thank you very much for that, Tim. Yeah, like I'm blown away. I love the whole Billy Bean money ball because it's something I've always wanted to know. Like, okay, like, do you sit with like the CEO? Does the CEO be like, no, I don't like him, go away, type of vibe? But like, yeah, I'm really happy, and it's been a great interview, and I really do wish him all the best. The Northern Cape Beat are a very good side and a very strong side.
Yeah, no, it's good. The good interviews are when the guys just talk. The guys just talk, and we just sit back and listen. And that today was one of those interviews. And as I said to him, I wanted to get a flavour of Division 2. I've been wanting to have the interview for some time now, so it's good to actually get a feel of how Division 2 is going for somebody who is actually in that cauldron.
Yeah. So look, Tim, let's end the show. We're going to be talking about the results on the weekend if you're looking for that. And the next show we'll post it on Tuesday. We just want to give you guys content because the Proteas are on their way to Australia. We finished with 4-day cricket for effectively the year. Now we're looking to SA20. So we're probably going to be doing a lot more SA20 content leading up to that time. We're also going to be kind of easing you guys in, taking a little bit of breaks in between because we've gotten a mid-season break. So outside of that, thank you very much, Tim, and we will be back with the other show tomorrow. Outside of that, goodbye, good night, and le sale cacajizo.